What's going on, everyone? It's Corey and Jack here from the Breakevens, giving you another podcast today. Jack, would you like to say hello to the folks?
Hello.
Alrighty, round four is done, and it wasn't too bad until about an hour ago, or a couple of hours ago, when we learnt Sam Doherty is now out for 4 to 6 weeks. So, for those like me who started him, we're down Shit's Creek. So, that sucks, but we'll get through that in this podcast. So before we get into it, let's go through the socials. So you can find us on Twitter at BreakevensPod. We're trying to hit 500 followers over there. We need just under 70 more, so make sure you go over there and give us a follow. And on YouTube, we're trying to hit 200 subscribers. We're about 70 odd away, so make sure you go over there and you give us a subscribe. It helps the channel out and we can reach more people and help you all out. So, and don't forget, you can find us on all the other streaming platforms that it will be up on our Twitter in our description. So, wherever you listen to your podcast, you'll find the break evens there. So, don't forget to listen to our podcast there. So, all right, done and dusted with that. So, Jack, how'd you go this week, mate?
Um, I was alright.
It was all right.
Um, there's a couple of people I want to slap. Um, persuading me to do things and it not working, and there's a couple of coaches I want to slap. Um, but just doing silly business. And there's a couple of players I want to slap.
Nice.
Obviously we spoke about Doherty being injured. But 71, that's horrible again
Yep.
by that man. Um, then we had Rory Laird, 97. He's having a stinker this year.
He's
Um, Hopper coming back from injury, playing forward, only getting a 75, not great. Ashcroft getting a 75 because he didn't know how to use the ball on Thursday night is not great. The
it's not
scores
bad though
the,
for a
the, the
rookie.
score's good, but if he used the ball, he's scoring 100.
Yeah.
He had like with his game, he had the ability to score 100, but because he didn't know the difference between prison jumpers and a lion, he only scored a 75. Obviously Cam McKenzie and his role with a 49 sucked.
Yep.
Changing my captain last minute to Rowan Marshall because someone said it's a smart idea for him to be subbed out at 3/4 time on 96.
Don't know
Like
who that was.
like Ross Lyon, what the hell are you thinking? Why are you subbing my man's out for?
They were they were up by too many points, so it was just a
Yeah, yeah,
precautionary
yeah, yeah, yeah,
move.
yeah,
Though,
yeah, yeah,
so
yeah. They're up by so many points, but there's so many more points for him to get.
that's true.
And Dunkley has been poor this year. I'm pretty sure we were talking about it yesterday.
Yeah.
Um, he's averaging the 104, but he's been crap. And Rosie wasn't great this week. I jumped, I think it was 857 positions.
Oh no.
Um, Trades this week, I was showing you about it, but it looks like I'm using my second boost.
Yep.
And how it's gonna look is Doherty will go to Jordan Dawson.
Yep.
Will Setterfield will go to Cozzy Pickett, and I believe at the moment I'm moving Taranto into the midfield, but I can move him, Rosie, Goulden, or Dunkley. It doesn't matter.
Yep.
Um, and then my last trade to make sure I have the money for Dawson is I'm going Cam McKenzie down to either Will Phillips, and there's hints that Johnny Sins and is it Fahey
Yep.
from GWS are debuting this week, so I might, if they are named to debut, I'll be going down one of them, leaving 127k in the bank and bringing Oscar Baker into my M8. So it's a big call to lose Setterfield because it was like a week or two ago. I was saying he's the must-have, and he played another great game on the weekend. But I feel like going to a Cozzy Pickett who's got a negative 24 break even and has the average of 116, I believe it is. With a 150 something and a 89 scores.
Yeah,
He's going to make a lot of money, and if he keeps going the way he is and keeps getting those midfield minutes, he could easily average at 100 to 110 and be a F6.
yep,
Um, so that's why I'm doing that. Um, Obviously, I would advise to keep Setterfield, but this is a big play I'm doing to get a Jordan Dawson over a Luke Ryan, even though Luke Ryan has more points. Jordan Dawson has the higher ceiling.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
Dawson's role is just amazing, like we saw with the 176 on the weekend.
yeah. Just before you move on, just going back to Johnny Sins and Fahy, they're not guaranteed
To play.
to debut, but I know Fahy for GWS, he's been killing it, especially the last two games, so he could be a chance to come in. And Johnny Sins, we're just waiting for him to get running in the legs, and then he'll be in. So um, that's more of a get the rookies now to bank that cash, and knowing that Sin will play soon, and Fahy is not far away, if not far here away. So um,
Right.
it's not going to be money straight away for you, but
Yeah, no, but it's
it's
money
making
in the
that
bank
cash.
for injuries or like we've heard with Max Gorn, if I need to get rid of Brody Grundy, I've got 127k to get someone that's good instead of having to go down to like a Jeremy Finlayson who is 50-50 on how well he's going to score.
Yeah,
Or go doing the ultimate risk of going down to a Radigalea or a Samson Ryan just to have that R2.
yeah, yeah.
That's
Well,
the main part of it.
sweet. Well, what's your current rank?
Well, yep. It is 50,467, and I jumped 829.
Okay, all right. So you're slowly making your way down.
Yeah, if Rowan Marshall wasn't subbed, I'm looking at a score of over 2,200, and that's probably another 5 to 10,000 rank change.
Yeah,
Where Ross Lyon, the Dingleberry, decided to sub him, and it's only a 829 rank change and a 2,081 score.
yeah, yep. No, um, that was my suggestion to change your captain, but you still changed it, so unlucky.
And well, you're not Ross Lyon, who thought it would be smart to just be like, let's screw all super coach up. I don't care about super coach. I'm an old fart. Get Zach Dawson in.
Yeah. Okay, fair. Let's move over to my team. So I scored 2,094. Um, Unfortunately, I've gone down 2,433 ranks this week, so I'm now season rank 12,569, which isn't great. Saying that
We're
I was
about to
top,
meet at 25k.
saying that I was top 5K after round one. How my team went. So Doherty, yep, Jack already went through him. Jordan Ridley isn't quite doing it for me at the moment. Ginby and Wilmot 40 and 50 obviously wasn't great. I had the VC on Dunkley who only got 84 and my captain was led, so that wasn't a good decision there. Um, Hopper at 75, not great. And then I looped Chesser with Baker 47 because I didn't think Mackenzie would score too many more, and he scored 49, so that wasn't too bad. And in the forward line, I had Chandler and Rosie, who are the worst scorers, but they still didn't do too bad, so can't complain. Trades this week, I've got no clue. With the news that Doggie's out for 4 to 6 weeks, I've been playing around with everything. What I've got at the moment is Rowan Marshall to Samson Ryan, and
That's ballsy.
that means I can go Ridley and Doherty to Dawson and Stewart. Now, what that means is I'll be using my fourth trade boost.
Jeez, that's all of them, or is that one left?
I've got one. I'll have one left if I do this. So
That's insane. We're only up to round 4, man. You're doing a trade boost around.
yeah, unfortunately, I've been on the
You're
wrong
addicted.
side. Um, one of those trade boosts was to get Darcy Cameron in the week he got injured, so that was unlucky. And then last week I forced one to go Tom Green up to Clayton Oliver, so I'm happy with last week's. It's really the Darcy Cameron one which I forced, but it also worked out because Wits, who I did have, was out last week, so I would have had a donut there. Um, so it sort of worked out, but I'm not 100% sure what to do. What I am doing is I'm waiting. Is it after round 5 and the start of round 6 where DPP comes in? So Zeeble and Sheasel,
I
I'll be
thought
able,
it was at the end of round 6.
yeah, whichever it is, I'll be able to chuck them into my defense so I can start unloading the defensive rookies and start upgrading my forward line or my midfield. Because at the moment I've got Dunkley in my midfield, so that'll be interesting. But I'll only have possibly one trade boost left, which is nuts because I've got 24 trades left. I've used 12 trades already, so yeah. But that's my team. Doing those three trades, that leaves me with $194,000 left in the bank. So I'll be looking at a Setterfield or a Hopper up to possibly a Miller next week. So keep eyes on that. Um, Before we get into our first segment, I'll quickly just go through the break-evens team. So the break-evens scored 2,113. We VC'd Nick Dacos, so we got his captain score because we looped Madden, which was good.
That was my suggestion, by the way.
It was. We have Sisley scored 76, which isn't great. Um, Apart from that, we had Cam McKenzie on field. We had Will Phillips on the bench who scored 67, so we missed out on points there. We actually had a donut because we didn't have any trades left, and Jared Witts was out, so we scored 2-1-1-3 with a player down. So if you think that would have been 2,300, which if Witts played, which would have put us in a good stead. Mitch Owen scored 143. He was a great get for us. And apart from that, Fergus Green on the bench is 73. So we missed out on, I'd probably say about 35 to 40 points. And obviously Witt's out. So the break-evens team is ranked at 22,771. So just in between us, Jack, which sort of makes sense because it's a joint team, and I have my opinions on plays. You have yours, so it only makes sense for it to be in the middle.
Yeah, but isn't it? It's quite funny how I say things for the break-evens team, but then I don't even check to see if I've done it for my team or not.
I'm guessing you're talking about that Nick Dacos VC.
My excuses are more invested in the dual team.
Nice, nice. So that'll do us for the intro and our team reviews. Alrighty, let's get into our first segment of the podcast, and that is the VC and C options.
Sure. Look at me, sure. I'm the captain now.
This week, Jack, we have a lot of options just because all the big guns are playing teams that they usually smash it against. So
Or they're playing at Adelaide and they smash it at Adelaide.
yes, I'll go through that in literally 3 seconds. So let's go with our more confident picks. All right. So the first one is Clayton Oliver versus the Bombers. Usually averages 121 in his last three. Played on the Saturday afternoon as a VC and C option. Now, as Jack just alluded to earlier today, I was doing some hard research and I went, hang on, everyone's played at Adelaide. So I checked, Melbourne played at Adelaide Oval. And I know Clayton Oliver usually goes absolutely ballistic at Adelaide Oval. So I went and checked. And um, so Clary has played 8 games at Adelaide Oval against both Port and Adelaide, obviously. And he averages 140 at Adelaide Oval. His lowest score is a 68, which was, I think it was his uh, most recent one against Port. But he has a high of 205.
Is that the one where he got injured with his
I
finger?
I think he might have got injured in the 68. But he has a high of 205 and he has a second high of 204. So he averages 120 against the Bombers, 140 at Adelaide Oval. You meet in the
That just
middle
means he's going to score 260.
at that, or you meet in the middle. He's got to get 130, which is a captain option. Um,
I like my option better.
so Clary is a big option, and he plays on the Saturday afternoon, so he's a VC or C option there. There's Corey's fun fact of the night. Next is Rory Laird versus the Blues. Might not have been the best of form, but he averages 125 against them. Played on the Thursday night as a VC option. They're actually my VC and C for this week. Laird into Clary. Um, Next is Took Miller versus Freo, played on the Friday afternoon. There's 2 games on the Friday. There's one that starts at, I think it's 5:20, and then one around 8 o'clock. This is a 5:20 game. Averages 122 against Freo, so he's a VC option, unless you go Laird on the Thursday. Lockie Neal versus the Roos, averages 132 against them. Playing on the Saturday afternoon is a VC or C option, depending on your team. And Jordan Dawson versus the Blues, averages 118. Playing on that Thursday night is a VC. We just trying to smash out 173. Could that happen again? It definitely could. Um,
Does know how to play at Adelaide.
he does. He does.
He only
Um,
scored 173 last week at Adelaide.
Now we'll move on to the smokier picks, or the ones you might not look to go to with compared to the other 4 or 5 I just said. So starting off, the man who was late out last week, Jared Witts, is playing Freo. It averages 128 against them, but that's only the last 2. And that's on the Friday night. That's the 8 o'clock one because it's over. Well, it's in Adelaide, but it's at a different ground. So they've got the 2 grounds going. So that's a VC option. Callum Mills versus the Tigs averages 133 against them. They play on that Friday night, so it's a VC option. Paddy Cripps versus the Crows averages 148 in the last 2. The reason I did last 2 for Paddy Cripps is the one before that he got injured, so it was a lower score. They play on that Thursday night, so again, it is a VC option. Nick Dacos, someone who I haven't put in the last couple and has dominated. I've finally put him in. They're Collingwood playing the Saints. I've put here could absolutely dominate, but in brackets may get a Windhager tag. So be careful of that. But they play on the Sunday, so it's a pure captain option if you're feeling risky there. Jack McRae versus Port, average 124. playing on that Saturday night, so he's a captain option. Jack's man Josh Kelly versus the Hawks averages 115, played on the Sunday as a captain. James Sicily versus GWS 139 in his last game. Um, I only put his last game because the ones before then, he was obviously had that ACL and a couple suspensions, but before then he was playing as a forward. So 139 in the last game. Playing on the Sunday is a captain option. Saki Merritt versus the D's averages 128, and they're playing on the Saturday afternoon, so V, C, or C. Josh Dunkley versus the Roos averages 120 on that Saturday afternoon. Again, a V, C, or C. Not liking the Dunkley one because he burnt me last week, so he can get stuffed. And the very last one, Brody Grundy versus the Bombers, averages 121, playing on that Saturday afternoon VC or C option. I don't know if you looked that far ahead, Jack, but did I name your VC and C in that list?
Yeah, no, you did. So I believe my VC was led, but with my big trade I'm doing, my vice captain is indeed going to be Jordan Dawson, and he will be going into, as you said, my king, Josh Kelly.
All right. Yeah, it's between Laird and Dawson for VC. For me, Dawson obviously scored 173, but I don't think that's going to happen again. And Laird's due for a big one, I feel. So, but we'll see what happens there. But that is the VCNC options for this week. All right, that leads us into our second segment of the podcast: buy, keep, sell, and avoid.
Help me! Help me!
Alrighty, Jack, buy, keep, sell, and avoid. Let's go through our buys first.
Our buys. Okay. My buy is my king. Now, it's not Josh Kelly. It's big boy Samson Ryan. Um, he looks practically set to be the number one ruck for at least the next 3 weeks.
Minimum two.
Minimum two, but most likely 3 weeks. And he's at 156k with the ruck forward DPP already on his name. So these next 2-3 weeks look like they're going to be big scoring for him. Obviously, if he gets that 80 plus in all three, his price break even goes crazy low, and he's going to make more money even if Asaldo comes back and takes it back, takes the ruck one spot away from him, I should say. So that's good signs with him. We could be what we were expecting with him was a slow burn. We could see him jump to 300 350k depending on how well he goes in that R1. But it's practically more game time and more ruck time for him, which is more points in taps and posies around the ground.
Yep, I'm looking at it here. He's projected if he goes 80 this week, he'll jump up to 184k. And if he goes 80 the week after, he'll jump up to 228k. Um, the only problem that I'm now looking at is at 228k, it's 400k to get to a big ruckman. So
Yeah, but he's a ruck forward, so you can bring him in the forward bench, and his break even's going to drop massively if he has those 80s in a row. So he's going to make more.
yeah, but then you have to put someone into the ruck.
Well, that's if you're bringing him in as a ruckman. You
Yeah,
can trade him in as a forward.
this is
He's
true.
just playing the ruck role.
This is true. Yeah, that's something I'm gonna have to think about now because I've gone Marshall down to him. So I'll have to do a few trades in the next few weeks, getting rookies down to be able to afford to go him up. Because if Soto's out for 3 weeks and he goes 80 in that third week, he goes up another 50k to 277. So it's a risky one, and it could destroy people's seasons. So I'm going to have
That's if they're
to,
going a role marshal down to him. If you bring him on for a bench in the forward line or even R3, if you don't loophole,
yeah,
you're laughing.
yeah,
Because you don't need to worry just about the next 3 weeks. You can hold him if he does do that 80 for the next 5, 6 weeks, and he can jump up to 350k.
yeah, 338 after 6 weeks.
Yeah, to upgrade a forward, it's
Yeah,
not that bad.
yeah. All right, I'll move on to my buy. Just know this. I typed this up yesterday, and with news coming out a couple of hours ago, it might have changed a little bit. But my buy was Brody Grundy. He was Jack's buy last week, and he was my buy this week. Um, he's already softer draw, has got even softer with Nag going down, meaning he will be playing against, as Jack just mentioned, Big Samson Ryan. Um, Now he's estimated to go up to 640k if he goes 130 for the next 4 weeks, and that's when Gorn comes back, which means you can trade him to whoever you want. And for those looking to trade Grundy, to trade Marshall, it's only I think 30 odd k or 40k to go up to Grundy at the moment, so you can jump on the cash train, and it's stopping all stations to Pointsville. Now, say this, afl.com.au posted the injury list for this week, and Max Gorn is apparently 1 to 2 weeks away. So, if I go on to Bryce Mitchell on Twitter, if Brody Grundy goes 130 that we're expecting this week, he will bump up 47k to 587. And if he goes 130 again in round 6, if Gord is missing, he will bump up 29k to 616k. So I still think it's a buy, in my opinion. I think you're really hoping best case scenario is Gord is out for the 2 weeks. And if he's not, then you have to find an extra 30k on top of whatever to go a Wits or an English, whoever you want. But saying this, Melbourne don't have to do anything stupid. Max Gorn is, yes, one of the best rucks in the competition,
Arguably the best.
arguably the best. But the way they're playing, they don't have to rush him back. They can give him that extra week if they feel necessary to make sure he's fully fit and then ease him in. And if they do that, Grundy will be at 630k.
Can I just chuck my 2 cents in this as well?
You can.
Gorn coming back in 1 to 2 weeks doesn't exactly mean he's going to go back to 80% CBAs like he was before the injury.
Yeah.
We saw what they did with Grundy coming into the season in the first couple of rounds with his knee injury last year, playing 50 to 60% game time and spending a lot forward and
Yeah.
helping out in the ruck. So if Melbourne is smart and they go, look, we want Max Gawn and he's fit to play, why don't we give him a forward role or a defensive role? His scoring's obviously going to drop a bit, but for Gawn, but it's not really affecting Grundy.
Yeah.
It's one like so. If Gawn does come back in 2 weeks, I wouldn't jump off Grundy straight away. I'd leave the week and see how they play, and if Gorn obviously does his majority ruck like he's shown, and Grundy's scoring goes down, then you'd take the hit and trade him. But it all depends on how Melbourne's going to bring him back. It's not a guarantee that he's going to be 100% ruck like he was.
Yeah, and I guess the big factor is Grundy will lose points when he comes back.
It's just
Now,
how much.
yep. Now looking at it in 2 weeks in round 6, Grundy will have a break even of 99. So if he goes to 70 to 80, he'll drop down. Instead of going to 616k, he'll probably be around 590 to 600 anyway. Well, actually, no, he won't go up. So he'll be around 590, 580, which is still, from what he is now, is 40k up.
Yeah.
But saying this, if Gorn comes back in 2 weeks, he could be subbed out at 3/4 time because they're smashing whoever they're playing. I think it's Richmond, so they're smashing Richmond.
Oh, of course they are.
Um, and they've gone, all right, Gordy, we'll sub you out 3/4 time. You have Grundy there on 60 points. He comes out 30-point quarter. He's got that 90, and he's at 595k. So, um, as you said, Jack, it's all up to how Melbourne play it. But in my opinion, that extra 40, well, actually,
K is still very
it's an
good.
extra 60 on K, and then it's an easy switch to a Wits there. So Brody Grundy is my keep. Is my buy for this week. So buys are done. So who's your keep?
No, it's funny because I was just talking about trading him earlier. But it's Cam McKenzie, and the only reason is he's got a break even of 13, so he's still got money to make. Obviously, we've seen a drop in CBAs every week and a dip in scoring, but a break even of 13, we've still got a week, 2, maybe 3 weeks, depending on if Sam Mitchell goes, you know what, we're chucking him back under the bus in the guts again, and he gets that 90 again, it's going to refresh. So I'd hold McKenzie, get as much money as you can out of him. Obviously, it's not looking great at the moment, and I've explained my situation why I'm getting him out, and it's to bring in Jordan Dawson. Unless you're doing something like that to get a big primo that's going to be a VCC, like ultimate primo, I would be keeping Cam McKenzie until his break evens up to around that 40 mark where it starts to be risky if he's going to hit it or not.
Yeah. And looking at his CBA, so I think he's gone from round 1. He got 20 to 30% CBAs, and then that dropped down to, I think, 12, and then it dropped down to 6, and it dropped down to, was it 4 or 2 last week?
I think it was 2%.
Yeah. Um, Now, the reasons for that is Connor Nash took his mid time and Will Day took his mid time. Now, we know Will Day is out for 2 weeks. Does that open up some more CBAs for Cam McKenzie there? So I agree. I think hold him for one more week, see what his CBAs are this week.
And
If
how his break even fluctuates.
Yep. And I think if he comes out and he scores a 70 to 80 this week with 12% CBAs, you hold him for another week. Will Day comes back. He's made another 40 to 50k for you. You get rid of him. Um, I think that's the smart play there. So um, my keep is his teammate and his captain, James Sicily. Now, the sick dog hasn't had the greatest of starts consistency wise. 2 tons, 112 and a 111, or it's either 111 and a 110. He scored a 99, and on the weekend, he scored a 76. And that means he's come into an average of 99.5. And he's lost people who started him 44k, which means he's under that 600 mark. He's about 580 odd. Now, there's no need to worry. He's a scoring machine, and by the end of the season, he will be a top three defender. The way it's looking, it'll be a Dacos Dawson Sicily sort of ordeal. I think. So don't get rid of the primos that are still scoring those hundreds. Um, it looks like we all have bigger problems at the moment, like Doherty going out. Um,
Nankervis for people.
all the rucks, you know, and I guess all the most of the
Suspension to our mid prices in Will Day for
yeah,
people like him.
yeah, and some of the big primos at 600 700k aren't performing, so you have to look there. But Sicily is a lock in that defense unless he gets injured, so keep the sick dog. Okay, so I'm interested to see who your sell is.
So it's quite funny. In the last 24 hours, my cell has changed to 3 different people. First, it was Toby Nankervis because I saw a lot of people on Twitter saying they went him from a Darcy Cameron, and he's now done a syndesmosis. It's I've been hearing a minimum 3 months, and then
Yeah,
it's
minimum 8.
I've heard it looks like it could be a minimum 12 weeks, 3 months.
Okay.
Could be worse. Um, then I went to Sam Doherty because the news this afternoon. 4 to 6 weeks with the meniscus, I believe it was.
Uh,
But
yeah, torn meniscus, so 4 to
yeah,
6 weeks.
but coming in not even an hour ago from my man Jordan McArdle, and if I pronounce your name wrong, buddy, I apologize. But breaking news. Fremantle defender and third best Supercoach scorer of the season so far, Luke Ryan, looked really sore with a right knee issue and appeared to be doing a fitness test with his knee heavily strapped. One that's a massive watch ahead of Friday night, and it looks like uncapped tall Josh Draper will be his replacement and getting his debut.
I told you he was my avoid round 2. I said he could score points now, but he's going to get injured, and he is the first injury cloud now. He might still play, but he's not going to have the same output.
If he plays, he's not going to be as efficient as he is in Supercoach. But it looks like who does Freo have again this week?
Freo have the Gold Coast Suns.
So I'd say it's more likely he will miss because Gold Coast have the one real threat in Ben King, and they have 3 or 4 key defenders that can go after him. So I could see more likely Luke Ryan misses and we see a debut in Josh Draper, just purely off matchups. But even if he does play, it's not looking good. Obviously, there's no timeline and seriousness in the injury. It's just popped up from my man's Jordan McArdle saying that he was doing a fitness test at training today, so it's not good signs for my man's Luke Ryan.
Yeah, I think Estelle is a bit harsh.
I mean, it's a sell. It's I can't say avoid, but it's like there's nowhere else to fit him. It's a sell depending on how long it is.
Yeah,
Like I said, I had Nankervis and Doherty who are must sells, but there's nowhere else really I can fit this in. And if this does end up being a 2+ week injury, he is a sell, and I've said it here
yeah.
as it
Well,
is. Obviously,
how
we're waiting late, and if you have him for now, I'd hope you have bench cover just in case. But if he's out this week and then they say look, he's missing another week or another two, I would probably sell him before a Jordan Dawson or Nick Dacos gets too expensive to not be able to afford them if
Yeah,
you don't already have them.
I as much as I hate Luke Ryan and the Freo defense, um, that sell is harsh because he still could play. So
He still could play.
he's not a confirmed out or injured. He might miss 1 week. But how many times in the past have we heard Luke Ryan's got to miss a week and he misses six? So
Well, that's just players as well. I'm pretty sure it was last year. Richmond go Dustin Martin's missing a week with hamstring awareness, and then he ended up missing 8 weeks with his hamstring awareness.
yeah,
Coaches like to underplay injuries a lot. And some of them, like Chris Scott, likes to overplay some injuries a lot.
yeah,
But yeah, so it's not necessarily trade him out. It's more of a watch, but here there's no really watch. Keep a watch in the categories we have, and I feel like it fit most in a to mention in a sell
yeah,
because that's the most relative category we have to this situation.
yeah,
But like I said, my sell was Sam Doherty and Toby Nankervis yesterday because they've got serious injuries and missing a while.
yeah, yeah. I think for now, keep him. We'll hear obviously later in the week what's going on. And you can make your decision there. But most people have a bench cover, so it's okay to take that 50 to 60 on field and have him on the bench for next week. All right, my sell is Jordan Ridley. Hello, Mr. Fake Primo. We all thought we were getting the Ridley of old, but it's pretty evident that everything is coming up Redmond.
Hey, I
Mason
see what
Redmond,
you did there.
Mason Redmond has looked to take Ridley's role as in kickouts and being the main man that they want to use to get the ball moving and out of defense. So Um, Ridley, he's good for a 90 to 95 average at the moment, but it's not the 100 105 that we wanted from him. Um, so he's a sell now, and if you can, get Dawson. This is the week to get Dawson. So,
If you can't and you're looking for someone, Redmond, who is around the same price, is a sideways trade. If you can't go up
yeah,
to a Dawson or Dacos or Cicely Stewart,
yeah. Well, the the good thing is, um, Stewart is 570k, so he's probably the
yeah.
cheapest he will be. His break even is I think 60 odd this week, so he's going to go up again. So yeah, get one of those big primos, but I'd try and eye off Dawson if possible. And that leaves us, Jack, to our avoids.
My avoid, I feel like it's a little harsh, and
Okay,
it's a player that goes by the name of Chad Warner.
okay,
Um, he had a big score of 137 this week, but that's the best he's looked all season. He's had a low of 59, and he's got an average of 97.5. He's been very inconsistent, and he's been struggling to find the ball in some games. I'm not sure. I haven't been paying much attention to Sydney games. I'm not sure if there's more attention going to him, or they're not. He's not their number one guy like he was towards the end of last season. Um, but he's had scores of 59, 80, 114, and 137. Obviously, that's not in correct order except for the 137. I'm pretty sure 114 was in round two.
yep,
Um, he's been very inconsistent, and by the way he's going and the struggles it looks like he's having at the moment, he's not going to be a top 10 midfielder. Therefore, he's not an option to have. Um, Obviously, if you have him, it's probably best to sell him before his price drops any more. He's too much of an accountability. But if you're looking to get a mid price primo, I should say, around that 500 to 600k range, this especially this week, there's a lot better that you can do, especially people who are looking to be top 8 midfielders this year so far. One being ninth as well.
Yep. So I'm just purely looking at the CBAs. So for Sydney at the moment, Luke Parker looks to be the number one in the CBAs with 79, 75, 75, 73% over the first 4 weeks. Next would be Warner or Rowbottom. Warner in the first 4 weeks, 57, 46, 64, 55. So not as much as last year. So if we go to the back end of last year, looking at Chad Warner, back end of last year, he went. Where's it start? After the bye. Actually, we'll start before the bye. From round 10 onwards. 71, 71, 65, 65, 45, 77, 69, 77, 81, 79, 77, 81, 78, and then in finals he went 52, 63, 69. So he was basically one of their main midfielders in there. He was getting a whole bunch of them. This year, as I go back to this year, you've got Rowbottom, who's gone 46, 58, 39, and 95 last round, 95% CBAs. And then you have Gordon, who's gone 50, 50, 31, 41. So you've got Rowbottom taking a chunk. You've got Errol Gordon taking a chunk, which is interesting for Callum Mills owners who CBA's 36, 33, 69, and only 27. So Mills has basically lost his CBAs, and Rowbottom and Gordon are taking away those Warner CBAs that we're used to. So unless that changes, um, he's got to be very inconsistent. He'll have his big games like last week where he went 137, but then he'll be around those, still 80 to 90 scores. Anything else you have to add on Chad Warner there? I know I sort of
I
took
do
over
not.
there, but
No, that helped a lot because I look at the scores and they're not great. You've just added more detail to why the
yeah,
scoring isn't great.
yeah. And if anyone wants to check out CBA stats and everything like that, go over to DFS Australia. It's what all the um, more experienced super coaches use. You've got everything there. So I'll move on to my avoid. Also, that is not a paid promotion. It's just chucking it out there. We do not
Just
get
that good.
paid, So, but big shout out to DFS Australia. So, my avoid is a man who played his first game for the season last week, Mitch Duncan. Yeah, he started off his season well with a big 116, but my concern is his age. He's usually a very reliable scorer. He usually goes between 95 and 110. And when he was in his prime, that'll bump up to 115. But I'm worried that due to his age, we might see a few injuries on a little bit more of a consistent basis. He's had problems with, I think it's been calves before. Um, and I think because he's getting a bit older, if Geelong smashing the opposition, he might be a potential sub out risk. Or if it's a close game and they're looking for that game changer, you sub him out and you bring on someone who's a bit more pacey, then you get off that half back. And at his price, with his 486k defender, you are going to be buying him as a primo at that price. And do you think he's a top 8 defender? I don't. Jack, you?
I mean, he has the abilities to be a top 8 defender, but we've seen every season and this preseason he's missed a lot of games due to injury. So Based off that, I would say no.
Yeah. My prediction for him is around that 10 to 12 come season's end. And that's why I think he is an avoid. And that'll do us for buy, keep, sell, and avoid. Alrighty, we've got some breaking news. So before we go into the Aiden Bonner Club, Matthew Nix has come out about 37 minutes ago, and this is also coming from the Honeyball AFL on Twitter, who is a reliable source. So,
And I quote,
we'd like to keep Geordie, aka Jordan Dawson, up around the footy. We feel like it balances our group out very well. Geordie's ability to play both defence and midfield is a real advantage for us. So that means he's got to keep dominating that midfield, keep scoring points for us. And people like myself who are looking to bring him in, it should be a VC option that I'm looking at. So, yeah, just wanted to put that in there. For those who were unsure on his role, if it will change or not. So, without further ado, let's get back on track to Jack's favourite segment of the podcast, the Aiden Bonner Club.
And it's what a week it is. We get to use Rule 1A this week, which I'll get into a little bit. But let's get straight into the votes for this week. With one vote, we have from the Collingwood Football Club, played a whopping 53 minutes and 49 seconds, scored a whopping 5 Supercoach points, and his name is the super sub himself, Reef McInnes.
Yes, super sub. Yes, mate.
With 2 votes, with 31 minutes and 25 seconds of game time, from, yet again, the West Coast Eagles, with 4 Supercoach points, is Rotham.
Yes, rather.
And using Rule 1A, the whopping 3 votes. He got inspired last week from a man, the myth, the legend, Riley Garcia. He's gone, you know what? I may be the sub, but I want to prove that I can do it in just 11 minutes and 48 seconds. And from the Brisbane Lions, he's gone, whatever you can do, I can do better. Devon Robertson has scored a whopping -1 Supercoach points.
Yes, Dev. Yes. So, Jack, just before we continue, can you just remind people what Rule 1A is and why Robinson has been chucked under the bus?
So obviously, Rule 1 was they must play one AFL quarter to qualify or 25 minutes.
Yep.
Obviously, he played 11 minutes and 48 seconds. But it says unless they score a negative. So it doesn't matter the time they play. If they score a negative, they've obviously done something really stupid and not helped the team out, so they get chucked in. But if they score like a 0 or a 1, it's unfair because they don't have much time to do much with the ball. But if you come on, give away a free kick, and that's all you do, you deserve it.
Yeah, so that's just to clarify for everyone. So it is a bit stiff. He only played 11 minutes, but if you can't get, 2 kicks to negate a free kick against you, you deserve to get 3 votes. So,
well, that's it. If he just didn't give away that free kick, he's not there.
It's true. All right,
Like,
let's move on to the leaderboard.
so yes, the leaderboard has changed a little bit. So coming in at 3rd place, he's dropped down to 3rd from 2nd last week. And his name is, from the West Coast Eagles, Elijah Hewitt, with 3 votes and 2 Supercoach points.
Yes, well done. He's moving up in the world, but in a good way.
That's right.
So,
He's moving up in a way he wants to. He's getting off the list.
well, he's moving down, but he's moving up.
Yes. And coming in and taking his spot at number 2. And sadly, we've said goodbye so far to Jack Petrocelli, who has been the man, the myth, the legend there from round 1.
Sad to see,
In
Jack.
second place, with -1 and obviously 3 votes, is this week 11 minutes and 48 seconds, Devon Robertson.
Welcome, Dev. Welcome, mate.
And obviously, leading is his Obi-Wan Kenobi. It's his Yoda. It's his Gus Bus. And he's the man, the myth, the legend. Riley Garcia with -6 Supercoach points and 3 votes.
I don't think that's going to be beaten, to be honest.
I think the only way it's beaten is if he stays in the VFL and someone like a Devon Robertson or Loja gets 1 vote and overtakes him.
Yes. Someone's going to poll multiple votes to beat him there. So, all right, that's the Aiden Bonner Club, and that's all of our segments for today. So, Jack, before I sign off, is there anything you want to say to the people?
I think again like last week, no injuries, please.
Yeah, well, that didn't fucking work, did it? With Doherty going down
Doherty played the whole game.
and no suspensions.
Yes, well, everyone got off tonight.
Yeah, true. All right, well, on that note, that's going to do us for tonight's podcast. I hope you enjoyed us talking smack. There was a few breaking news bits in there, so I'm going to chuck in some news edits there, so it'll make it nice and fun. But thank you all again for watching and listening on Apple Podcasts or on YouTube or on any of the other platforms that we are now on. So thank you all again. Don't forget you can hit us up on Twitter at BreakevensPod. Try to hit 500 followers over there, so make sure you give us a follow. And on YouTube, we're on the road to 200. Hit that subscribe button, helps us out. And that's it. So, thank you again.
And that's it.
That's it. Just catch you later. Now, thank you all for watching and listening again on Apple Podcasts or YouTube or any other platforms. And good luck for this weekend. And until next time, it's bye for now.
See ya.